Hello everyone and welcome to my full Guilds of Ravnica constructed set review. This set review will be focusing mainly upon constructed cards. We will be going through all the cards though. I'll give like little snippets on the draft chaff and what cards I think will be good and limited. But mainly the emphasis of this review will be on cards constructed applicability. So, obviously we'll be starting with one that does not have a great amount of constructed applicability in Blade Instructor. Blade Instructor is a 3-mana 3/1 with Mentor. Mentor, of course, being the Boros mechanic for this set. Whenever this creature attacks, you may put a 1/1 counter on another attacking creature with lesser power. So we will see a bunch of these. There are certainly a few that have been pushed to the point where we will certainly be seeing them constructed. This, however, not one of them. Bounty Agent. Bounty Agent is a reasonably constructed playable Magic card. Bounty Agent is a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance Human Soldier. You can tap to sacrifice Bounty Agent and destroy a legendary permanent that is an artifact, creature, or enchantment. It is worded that way so it does not kill planeswalkers. But this is a reasonably strong card. Few things it kills, like Search for Iskanta, Argal's Bloodfast, all of those Ravnica enchantments. It kills a lot of legendary creatures. There's myriad important legendary creatures that this kills. It's just an early 2-drop when you're in an aggressive deck. It has Vigilance. It can block. It is a target that you can pick up off of Militia Bugler, which as we go through the set, we will see as a card that gained a bunch of equity with the addition of Ravnica. So this is a card that definitely will show up quite a bit. It deals with a lot of potentially problematic permanents for a very, very low cost. Now, granted, it is not like Thrashing Brontodon, where you could use it the turn you play it. This does require you to tap it. So this does have to go into play, be around, and then you can tap it to kill something. So it is a little bit slow, but again, the opportunity cost is so low. If you were already playing a deck that was just in the business of playing like a 2-drop 2/2 Knight, then you get the upside of just getting to answer things that you would otherwise not be able to. So that seems quite good. Candlelight Vigil is a 4-mana enchantment, gives 3/2 and Vigilance. That does not seem particularly good in any format. Citywide Bust. Citywide Bust is a 3-mana sorcery. Destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. This is obviously a very powerful sweeper for more aggressive lower to the ground decks. Not necessarily aggressive, just decks that are playing a lot of small creatures. You can either be playing more conventional aggro with a lot of 2/1s and 3/2s or whatever, or you could even use this in a tokens deck to deal with bigger creatures. So this is has a lot of reasonably broad applications in the spots where it's going to be good. There's not that many spots where it's going to be good, but when it is good, it's very good. So this will certainly be in the sideboard of Boros decks or Celestia decks. Any decks that don't have 4 power or more creatures in white, probably going to sideboard this, and it's going to be one of the better cards to draw in the matches where you sideboarded it. Collar the Culprit. Is this a story? Is this the same guy from over here? I didn't realize that there is a lore around this this poor giant that appears to be demolishing houses for no clear purpose. But in any case, Collar the Culprit is a 4-mana instant, destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Oh, so it's Smite the Monstrous, but toughness. Okay, this is a limited thing. Medium limited removal spell. This is an above average constructed removal spell. Conclave Tribunal is a 4-mana enchantment with Convoke. So for those who do not know, this is our first Convoke card. Convoke allows you to tap any number of creatures to pay for the mana of the card. So if you have 3 creatures and tap them, Conclave Tribunal will only cost 1. So that's obviously pretty strong. And when Conclave Tribunal enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Conclave Tribunal enters the battlefield. So it's an O-ring / cast out with Convoke. So obviously we've seen how good cast out is in this format. Ixalan's Binding, that stuff comes up. It matters to be able to deal with anything. And this can potentially cost 0 if you have 4 creatures. So being able to both extend onto the board and then tap all your dudes and answer a thing to double spell turn, incredibly strong, especially when one of those spells is answering whatever. like just answering anything. So this is going to be a mainstay in white. It's cool that this is like core white removal spell that can't be played in control decks, or at least won't be played in control decks. So giving it that delineation is actually pretty sweet. So you're only giving the power to one archetype, not many. I like that a lot. But yeah, any like white creature deck is going to be playing for Conclave Tribunal. I can't think of a reason why they would not. It's very, very, very strong. Crush Contraband is a 4-mana instant. Choose one or both. Exile target artifact or exile target enchantment. And or exile target enchantment. So this seems like little inefficient. It's like borderline sideboard card depending upon if there are matchups where you would frequently have your opponent's board consist of both an artifact and an enchantment. There's no current archetype I can think of where that would be the case, and even when you do get to do that, this is a little expensive, but that's a reasonably powerful board affecting 2-for-1. So if we ever get into spots where people have both of these permanent types in play consistently, this could be a good sideboard option. I just can't currently think of any archetype that would make that the case. Dawn of Hope. Dawn of Hope is a 2-mana enchantment. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, draw a card. You can also pay 4 mana, 1 white. Create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with Lifelink. So this is an interesting card. It's pretty slow. Obviously, paying 2 to draw a card is about rate. There's a lot of incidental life gain. Like, for example, you would want the life gain to be 0 mana. So if you have like lifelink creatures, you would get to gain life at 0 cost. Fountain, the 1-mana artifact Fountain. That's another one that gains you life for 0 cost. So you want to be able to gain life without having to invest mana. So you actually have the mana to pay to draw a card and then potentially still do other things in the same turn. That's when this card starts doing stuff. It also helps you in making 1/1 white soldier creature token. So you kind of get Nidanto the First Fort alongside this. Although it's like a bigger opportunity cost as a card you have to play in your deck. Legion's Landing is a little bit lower cost. But this is not the worst card in the world. I don't exactly see what kind of shells it would be in, but there are like a lot of life gain sub-themes. Especially in Dominaria with the Fountain, as we talked about, Ajani's Pridemate. So if you're in the business of playing a life gain deck, this is probably going to be part of it because it is a source of inevitability in the card draw and a different source of inevitability in making a bunch of 1/1 soldiers with lifelink. Mainly the fact that this is Nidanto the First Fort, just like with the other thing, is pretty cool. Granted, it doesn't do anything the turn you play it. It doesn't do anything for a while. This might be more of a sideboard card, but this seems playable to me. It's a little bit narrow, but it seems playable to me. Demotion. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't block, and its activated abilities can't be activated for 1 mana. So this is actually a pretty good option for aggressive decks. This deals with any blocker for 1 mana. That's very efficient. Obviously, you have to be pretty low to the ground because they can attack back. But if you are looking for a mana-efficient removal spell, it does not get too much more efficient than this. And if you don't care about them attacking back, if you're just trying to get them dead, then this is probably what you're looking for. So it wouldn't shock me to see this in Constructed. As we'll move along, I do believe we have some better options. But this is not outside the realm of like playability in a primarily aggressive deck, because it does deal with whatever you're trying to get through. Divine Visitation. Divine Visitation is a 5-mana enchantment. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. So this makes it so whenever you create a token, whatever that token would be, it is now an angel. So if you play Saproling Migration, you get 2 angels. If you kick Saproling Migration, you get 4 angels. If you play Spore Swarm, you get 3 instant speed angels. So on and so forth. That card we just looked at that makes a 1/1, 4 mana for a 1/1 vigilance, 4 mana for an angel. So this card obviously makes a lot of other cards very strong. It is a 5-mana enchantment that does nothing when it first enters the battlefield. You need to untap and then cast a token generator for it to be powerful. But it is powerful when you get to untap with it. So whether or not the format will be in a place where you can take a turn off to play 5-mana do-nothing enchantment, we will see. Generally, Standard is not in that place. But the upside on the back end of this one is quite high. It's probably best to look at it as like kind of a hyper anthem. Like instead of making 1/1s, you're making 4/4 flying Vigilance. It's a really, really good anthem that doesn't affect things initially, which makes it quite a bit worse. But yeah, I do think that this card is strong. It's just that it's generally hard to justify playing a 5-mana enchantment that does nothing in Standard. And as we move through the spoiler, we will see that there are actually a pretty high density of main deckable enchantment removal spells that do cut into this card's playability and make it much more of a liability than it would normally be. Flight of Aquanauts. I think I got that. Flight of Aquanauts. This is an 8-mana Convoke 4/5 flying human knight. So this is like just kind of a pretty basic Convoke card. It looks expensive, but you can Convoke it, so you could actually get a reasonably cheap 4/5 flyer. This seems like a pretty solid limited card, not something I believe we're going to have to turn to when constructed. But yeah, it just kind of exists to show you, hey, this is what Convoke does. But even though this could potentially cost 0, you would need 8 creatures in play, and I think you're doing pretty good at that point. So I do believe we will have better options for constructed, but this seems actually like pretty hard to beat in limited, or at least very good in limited. GERD for Battle. Great card name. GERD for Battle is a 1-mana sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. And that is the whole text box. I know my inflection led you to believe there was more to that text. There was not. So this seems pretty medium, not something I would really be interested in playing in constructed. It's just kind of like a weird enchantment. And you can't put both counters on one creature, so it's a little bit more narrow. So it's more of a limited thing, and even in that case seems not great. Hasta Marshall. Hasta Marshall is a 1-mana human soldier. Whenever Hasta Marshall and at least 2 other creatures attack, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. This is a 1-drop for the Boros decks. I think it's probably not going to be good enough because it itself is not good. If this was a 1-mana 2/1 and then you were kind of free-rolling the text box, then this card's pretty good. But the fact that you're playing a bad creature to then make 1/1s when you already have 3 creatures that can profitably attack in play doesn't seem worth it to me. I do believe that we have better options in the format. It's weird to me this card isn't a 2/1. But at 1/1, I think that we're really not going to be looking to play this in constructed. Healer's Hawk. 1-mana 1/1 lifelink flyer. Unbeatable and limited. If previous formats are any indication. But yeah, that's for limited. Haunted Witness is not. Haunted Witness is essentially Doom Traveler. It is a 1-mana human 1/1. When Haunted Witness dies, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. So we've had a card similar to this in the past in Doom Traveler. It was a 1/1 human that when it died made a 1/1 spirit with flying instead of a human with lifelink. But we've seen how this can be utilized alongside various sack outlets to really enable some powerful stuff. I do not think we really have too many sack outlets in this format. We will see Vraska later down the line and some other things. This is the card that allows certain strategies to exist. I don't know if we have all of the pieces for those strategies. This is likely a card that will get better when we have Orzhov released in the next Ravnica set. For now, though, it's just a reasonably solid 1-drop that can still enable some things, but I'm not sure if we're going to get like a full Aristocrats deck, for example. I don't think we have the tools for that at this point. But we'll certainly see as things move forward what kind of shells this can get put into. But it's certainly like powerful enough to get there. It has a pedigree, like we've seen this card see play before. So I'm sure Sam Black is happy about this one. Inspiring Unicorn is a 4-mana 3/3. Whenever Inspiring Unicorn attacks, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This card seems sick and limited. Not really something we're interested in forward constructed. Intrusive Packbeast is a 5-mana 3/3 with Vigilance. When Intrusive Packbeast enters the battlefield, tap 2 target creatures your opponents control. Another limited card. This one's much more medium than the previous one we just saw. Ladev Guardian, 4-mana 2/4 Convoke. Another very medium to bad limited card. Light of the Legion, slightly better limited card. Is a 6-mana 5/5 Flying Angel with Mentor. When Light of the Legion attack or dies, put a 1/1 counter on each white creature you control. This is a house in limited. Probably too expensive for constructed. Generally in constructed, you need your 5 and 6 drops to do something immediately on the board. Like they need to have some effect that influences play or buff something or what have you. This card doesn't have haste. It's a little bit small for a 6-drop. So my anticipation is there's going to be better stuff to do in constructed than play this card. But seems challenging to beat in limited. Loxodon Restorer, another big Convoke card, 6-mana 3/4. When Loxodon Restorer has a battlefield, you gain 4 life. Another medium limited card. A lot of medium, big, dumb Convoke limited cards in this set. Luminous Bonds is back. This is a reprint. Just 3-mana enchant creature, can't attack or block. This is the removal spell for limited or Pauper. I actually played a bit of Pauper. This was the premier removal spell in the MTGA Pauper format. But yeah, not something we're looking at for standard. Hellion Patrol, 4-mana Flying Vigilance, Mentor, 2/3. Pretty medium limited card. We have a bit of a run of medium limited cards here. Righteous Blow. Instant Righteous Blow deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. This is a card, it was printed with a different name. This card has existed in Standard before recently. Because I remember playing it in Constructed begrudgingly because the options were really bad. But yeah, this is more so for limited. It's hopefully not something we'll have to turn to in Constructed. I do believe there are much better options. But it's kind of like a situational shock for white. That's not usually an effect white has. So I would not be super surprised that if aggressive decks become a thing and you really want sideboard spots for them, then you could bring in Righteous Blow as an efficient removal spell against some of the 3-mana 2 toughness creatures that we'll get to later that you probably want to kill pretty quick. Rock Charger, 3-mana flying. When Rock Charger attacks, target attacking creature without flying gains flying until the end of turn. 1/3. This is like the Pegasus, right? I thought this card already existed at common in like previous sets. Isn't this just the Pegasus? But yeah, this is for limited. It's one of these always exists where it's like a flyer that gives your other dudes flying for the aggressive decks in the various limited formats. So yeah, this is that for this one. Skyline Scout, 2-mana 2/1 Human Scout. Whenever Skyline Scout attacks, you may pay 1 and a white. If you do, it gains flying until end of turn. Reasonable limited 2-drop. Not something we're going to have to turn to in Constructed. Here's what we're probably going to turn to in Constructed. Sunhome Stalwart. Sunhome Stalwart is a 2-mana 2/2 Human Soldier with First Strike and Mentor. Now we've played a fair amount of Knight of Grace. That's also another 2/2 First Striker. That one has the Knight tag that matters in various spots. This one having Mentor, though, is actually really powerful. There's going to be this interplay with like the Mentor cards where you play Sunhome Stalwart on turn 2. And then there is a card we'll get to later, Tajik, who is a 3-power haste 3-drop with Mentor. So you can attack with Tajik, pump this. You now have a 3-power First Striker. Now the 3-power First Striker is bigger, so it can mentor more things. So you actually kind of create this like loop of mentoring things to be bigger than they mentor more things, and et cetera, et cetera. So like you would totally be fine playing a 2-mana 2/2 First Striker in various aggressive white strategies. This one's upside is like makes it solidly above average in comparison to some of the other options. It's possible the fact that it's not a Knight matters. We're going to be playing a fair amount of History Benalia in the new format, so you might still bias toward Knight of Grace, but depending upon what you're looking for, what tags you care about, this card certainly has legs. Sworn Companions, 3-mana, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. This is a card that looks unassuming. and is a little bit below rate. Generally, we see this effect at 2 mana, but we have seen the Vampires deck, for example, play Queen's Commission, which is essentially this card. So if there are enough synergies where you care about just cards that make multiple dudes and you have anthems and all of that, this is something you may turn to. It's, again, not the best, but there is certainly a fair amount of payoffs for going wide, for having tokens, and if this is one of the better options, it's one of the better options. So I wouldn't be shocked if this got some amount of constructed play, although probably not something you really, really want to be playing, but there is precedent in Queen's Commission. So Take Heart is a 1-minute instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. You gain 1 life for each attacking creature you control. So this is a white giant growth, kind of. It's a little bit smaller. You gain some life. This seems like a reasonable combat trick. Probably mainly for limited. There is another combat trick that is similar to this down the line that you would probably prefer to play constructed over this one. But this isn't like comically outside the range of what you might want to play constructed if you were playing a deck that cared about having combat tricks. 10th District Guard. 10th District Guard is a 2-mana 2/2. When 10th District Guard enters the battlefield, target creature gets +0/+1 until end of turn. It's another like medium limited 2-drop. Seems pretty medium. Venerated Loxodon. Speaking of cards that pay you off for going wide, Venerated Loxodon is a 5-mana 4/4 with Convoke, much better than the rates we have been seeing to this point. When Venerated Loxodon enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each creature that convoked it. So if you have like 4 or 5 creatures in play, you can tap them all, play like a 0-mana Venerated Loxodon, they all get counters, and then you could like do another thing in that turn. So this is like a pretty solid anthem. You get to pump all your little guys and then get a medium to big guy in the Loxodon himself. The downside of this card, and what makes it worse than other anthem type effects, is that you can't attack with the creatures that you are pumping the turn you do this. So that does make it considerably worse. You are extending yourself pretty heavily into a sweeper. So I'm not sure if you really want to be playing with Venerated Loxodon, just because of the fact that normally one of the upsides of an anthem is you get the immediate effect of I pump all my guys and attack profitably with all my guys. This one, they have to tap to get pumped. So it's pretty slow, and because of that, seems worse than some other options we have available that we will get to a bit later.